Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. So in today's video we will be going over the snowstorm that is occurring across the Northeast. It is very strong, very powerful. Several locations got a bit less, some got more. It's a tricky event, but I won't be going over that just fully. I'll be going over more into the long range. There's a potential for another potentially significant system, though a bit less than what we've been having this Thursday and Friday, and a potentially very cold air mass, a polar vortex. Some locations getting well below -20 Fahrenheit, if not -30. So dangerous cold. So we'll be getting into that. If you guys would like to support this channel, you can do so by subscribing. Liking the video, hitting the thumbs up button also helps out a ton. Otherwise, let's start talking about this. Okay, so the first thing I want to start off is by looking at the radar. Notice that we have still very heavy snow going on. Northeast, obviously, well into Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, southern New York City, and it's still snowing in Philadelphia, southern New Jersey. They did get some rain out of that, a bit more mixing than expected. Notice Pittsburgh, Ohio, they are starting to kind of refill with precipitation. Again, that's what kind of happened across the Chicago area into southern Wisconsin. A lot of snow just lingered on for several hours, and I know Pittsburgh is close to half a foot across many locations, so you could probably get towards the 8-inch mark. Notice still snowing across eastern Kentucky, Tennessee. Look at that. New York City seeing some lighter snow right now. They did just come out of a very heavy snow band, but you can see this feed is just continuous. So expect at least 6-7 inches more. Philadelphia also seeing some pretty heavy snow right now. They did get a bit of some lighter some rain mixing in yesterday late at night. Again, that seems to be basically over with as the system is now riding to the north and east, and you can see getting into portions of Maine, Boston, just getting very heavy snow. Very impressive. These amounts already, some locations have over 27 inches, and I'll show you that right now. Before we do that, I do want to show you the Earth Cam of New York City. Notice this is Earth Cam. It's a very good website. It has the best webcams available. Notice that, well, now it's temporarily unavailable right there, but very heavy snow. You can see it's wet. It's melting off the roofs a bit. It's dripping, but, it's piling on, and this may not look like a lot of snow, but, you can see a human comparison to that. Very heavy snow, and in terms of total snowfall amounts, it is pretty impressive. You can see the whole event of this system. Let's just go back to 36-hour snowfall reports. Notice, it stretched literally from Canada, the Canadian border, Lake Superior, got some, the western side of Lake Superior, got some pretty good amounts. Obviously, Chicago, Indiana, southern Wisconsin, a bit of some lighter snow intermediately, right? Notice Virginia got some pretty good amounts. Maryland did not, but look at that. Well, northern Maryland did, but notice that right there across New York City, again, New York City pretty much got the brunt and, the axis of heaviest snow across your location. Notice that the most recent snowfall reports are the highest ones, 432, 44, right? The highest one, as you saw, was at 27 inches in New Jersey, and it's in a place that's still picking up right there. It's still, if you were to take a look at the radar, it's still picking up decent rates of snow, and over 30 inches at this point seems likely for those locations. Notice the upstate Northeast did not really pick up much snow. As of now, they still will pick up some snow. It's still going to snow there, so don't worry about that. Notice southern Pennsylvania did get some decent amounts of snow. New York City, as of Central Park, that was... Sorry, I'm trying to get it right. Come on, where was it? We just had it. 11:51 a.m. It's been snowing there pretty much since then, so I'm assuming probably close to 18 inches. I don't know exactly. If someone would have a report, that would be awesome in the comments below. But, just a really... Look at those numbers, just all blurring together. A very impressive system. Notice near Trenton, New Jersey, there were some higher amounts, some lower amounts. Again, most of these aren't really updated. You can see that one's from 8 o'clock in the morning, right? Notice New York City, where are you? There we are, 11 inches. That's at 10:45. Let's zoom in a bit more and see what's the most recent model. You can see as of 3:10, Chatham, New Jersey is at 20 inches, which is right over there. So I would assume many locations getting towards over 1.5 feet at this point, and obviously this will continue chugging to the north. So very impressive system. Some locations did underproduce, but those that did overproduce did in a pretty major way. Here's a radar over the past 6 hours. Notice that New York City, ever since that 11:55 o'clock report at 13.5 inches. It's been snowing consistently, so probably close to 18 inches, if not more. Notice Boston got in on that snowfall again. Very heavy snow. Rhode Island, Connecticut. I mean, just a classic nor'easter that just dumps a ton of precipitation. Very, very exciting event, to say the least. Now, you may be wondering, okay, come on, let's show the future radar what's still to come. Notice that we are at hour 1 right now. Let's zoom in on the northeast, as I will be focusing on the northeast with this system. But again, towards the end of, I guess in just a few minutes, I'll be talking about other portions of the weather of the United States and what to see. But notice, right, the northeast is getting hammered by snowfall. Here's the time. This is Central Standard Time, so around 2 p.m. This is a bit older data, but that's because the 18Z is the only one that goes out really far out. So again, some of these amounts that I'll show you here are going to be a bit higher as it has an additional area. Several hours of snow. Notice that the HER model introduced quite a bit of mixing into New York City. And that was what it thought would happen as of 12 o'clock noon. None of that really is occurring. It stayed all snow, so really you can see that, again, that is definitely most overdone, and that probably will stay as mostly snow. Notice it definitely does start dragging away from New York City, right, but it continues into Philadelphia, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, southern New York. I know a lot of folks said, oh, it underperformed in Philadelphia to a certain extent, but notice that, I mean, you can still see that well into the evening hours it will continue snowing there. Obviously, Boston, Connecticut, Rhode Island getting loads of snow. Again, this rain-snow line may be a bit further to the north than what probably will be in reality, but it will probably transition a few of these areas to some rain or maybe a wintry mix. Notice though, I mean, look at that, portions of New Jersey where they're seeing already 27 inches, probably now a bit higher. 11 p.m. I mean, it goes well into tomorrow morning. It's seeing that light snow, light to moderate snow. New York City potentially seeing that rain again. I would not take this too seriously, as a HER model did struggle with showing that snow. Notice it pushes the snow well into upstate New York, which I think will be the case, and then notice well into Maine. You can see very heavy snow, right? And look at that, still continuing as of tomorrow at this time, 24 hours from right now, still continuing across Philadelphia and New Jersey, right? I mean, obviously it will be in bursts. It won't be a steady, consistent snow. Still, an additional 6 to 7 inches across those locations. And then look, we are now almost 50 hours out, and still the remnants of the system are circling around as kind of another low pressure weak one is still sitting right off the coast. In terms of total snowfall accumulations, additional ones, notice this is a bit going to be a bit higher as these as this model run is a bit old, but still, I would say, you know, obviously Boston probably still close to a foot of snow, more, probably a bit less, 7 inches more. Philadelphia, you can see this model advertised a lot of snow for you. Again, some of this may not be really accurate because it shows that rain snow line getting very, very far to the north. The latest model of the HER only goes out to 18 hours, but you can see that it still shows decent amounts for Philadelphia, seeing potentially up to 6 more inches into Boston, right? So that is that, and it's updated, but again, it only goes to 10 o'clock tomorrow in the morning, which it's still going to be snowing at 10 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. If you look at the total, if you look at the radar, rain/frozen, we see that the snow is still falling, especially across New Jersey and eastern Pennsylvania. So again, you know, I was yesterday skeptical about those 24+ inch amounts being so widespread. At this point, it's already widespread. It will probably be close to 36 inches in some locations. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a potentially historic event. So notice that that's the HER, right? I'll show you a few more models, what they think. The NAM 12KM. Let's just go through our 84. So this whole system is, you can see a new one is already making its way on at that point. This is what it shows. A lot of these coastal areas may be kind of seeing that rain snow mix cut off maybe a bit sharper. Again, for exact details, go to the National Weather Service, as they will have the best information. I do want to say the RAP, another high-res model that I think is equally as good as the HER model. Notice what it shows is still, you know, potentially up to 6-7 inches across Philadelphia, higher, you know, towards the northern New Jersey, northeastern Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, Boston, Worcester, you know, well over a foot potentially, and even New York City seeing potentially 6 more inches. So I don't think it will be the heaviest snow that they've ever seen, but I mean, it could get pretty darn close. So yeah, a historic event potentially. Now, that's what we have, right? That's what the National Weather Service, or that's what the models have to say. You can see it still shows pretty heavy snow across the upstate New York area. It hasn't fallen yet, but will be. In terms of additional accumulated snowfall, let's take a look at the latest weather briefing, if you will. And notice that no major changes have really occurred as of the 6 a.m. morning, so I was way in the morning today. This was a total snowfall, most likely snowfall again. I think a lot of those locations will be overperforming. And you can see that Philadelphia, if you're to take a look at the forecast, for example, wait for this to load. Sometimes these computers are a bit slower. Okay, there we go. You can see 2 to 4, 1 to 2 tomorrow. Again, I would not be surprised if you could still pick up to 5 inches tomorrow alone, as you saw how long that could take to move away from the coast. All right, so that's what we have. Again, I don't want to go too much in detail, as I already have. Just expect lots of snow, especially for Maine, Vermont, New Hampshire, as that hasn't started up there yet. Let's take a look at the GFS. But now let's take a look at the global models. So you can see that's what it shows for the Northeast. And again, a very, very, very significant snowfall. Just keep track to the radar, see where that rain snow line is approaching. Here are the snowfall snowfall reports. Again, just type in snowfall reports last 24 to 36 hours NWS, and you'll find this website. And here you have the radar, as I showed you already. Here's the EarthCam. Let's do one more check on New York City. Yeah, very, very heavy snow. Holy cow! Look at that. They're keeping up. Not bad though. Alright, so salt is pretty effective on that type of stuff when it's when it's pretty warm, right? And they're dumping a lot of it as it's a big system. Alright, so that system pulls away, right? It drags on for a very long time to Canada and Northeast. Regarding the future, what can we expect in the future? If you're, further in the Midwest and Northeast, the Midwest, Northern Plains, Northwest, be wondering, okay, enough with the Northeast, what's to expect? All right, so we have another system already moving on to the Northwest, into Oregon, Washington, and California right now, and you can see that's dumping a lot of rain. The cold air is a bit minimal, as we have a very high ridge right here, you can see, but snow will fall for the upper elevated areas anyways. Wyoming, Colorado, potentially seeing some snow. Salt Lake City, again, a rain snow line is getting very close. You can see quite a bit of snow and rain even after the system moves on. It moves into the plains, right? Notice a lot of warm air, kind of different from our previous systems. You can see the rain potentially reaches farther to the north. I do want to say that for this being 66, 70 hours, the confidence is rather low. The models are agreeing that, the system will be in generally this type of format where it's a west to east. It won't be a north to northeast slider or, a Alberta Clipper. But I'm talking about the rain snow line. So you can see that this one has a lot of rain mixing into northern Illinois, Wisconsin, Michigan. A lot of models show this further to the south, and some show it even further to the north. So that's something that we'll have to watch for. But for cities like Minneapolis, Des Moines, right, Green Bay, according to the GFS, solid in the snow. And the system actually becomes pretty wind whipped into Thursday into Friday. Notice quite a bit of rainfall across the south, though the snow mixing pretty far to the south into Kentucky, Indiana, Ohio. Again, the GFS sometimes produces the snow on these cold fronts as it gets too excited on this cold air, but in this case the cold air will be plentiful. After this system passes, the GFS advertises for a potential nor'easter, so there's two systems really that we should be tracking in the near future. But the even bigger concern is regarding, regardless of how this system turns out, dumps quite a bit of snow or a bit less of snow across the Midwest. Seems like if this one will be a bit of more of a rainmaker for the Northeast, so that's definitely could be some hydraulic issues, especially with all the heavy rain that they've gotten. The rain shouldn't be ridiculously heavy though. Maybe a few hours of rainfall and then the cold air moves in. With this cold air, we have a very, very strong jet stream, and this is pretty much a polar vortex that broke in early January, dropped very cold conditions across Europe. It's now pretty much our turn. So notice, this is the jet stream at this point, and it is very, very strong, and often on this north or the south, I guess, quadrant of the jet stream, we have very, very strong winds, and not surface winds, but up aloft. And what that does is it kind of introduces a chance for a potential nor'easter. And a lot of models, I'm telling you right now, folks, a lot of models are advertising for potential another very significant nor'easter less than a week from today, around a week from today. And you can see the GFS doesn't show that, but some show a very significant system for similar locations that got hit with the snow today. And we'll continue to see snow into tomorrow and into Wednesday. Right, regardless of how that turns out, what we are very confident at this point is very, very cold air. This is not just cold air, oh look, 20 degrees in Ohio. It's going to be bitter cold air. Dangerous cold air. that's needs to be talked about. So cold air is often easier to predict, if you will, than a storm, because you know that it's going to be there. The degree of the cold is a bit harder, but let me show you some of these anomalies. Very, very significant. I mean, if you look at Illinois, Wisconsin, just an absolute nightmare in my opinion. For many folks working outdoors, maybe for gardeners that have sensitive fruit trees, any of that stuff. I mean, the temperatures that the GFS advertises, again, this is just one model, but I mean, it just shows ridiculously cold temperatures, and I just really, really, really hope this is wrong. Notice well into the south. I mean, February, right? So a lot of these locations already starting their spring crops. It's, February is already more of a springtime across the south. Like last year, February was very warm. This thing could bring very, very cold air well into Alabama, Mississippi, Georgia, potentially, or the teens, so below 20 degrees by the actual Gulf Coast. And this sticks around for a while. Notice the cold air is just brutal, and no signs of early spring. The groundhog, even if it does show its face above all that snow, you can see a lot of cold air. Now, hopefully this doesn't last too long. Some models take it out of here pretty quickly, but others, like the GFS, bring a bit of warmer air in, followed by another Arctic blast. Very cold air just across west to east. This isn't going to be a warm scenario just across, or, a warm scenario across the west, cold across the east. Really chilly on all spectrums of the northern United States. Notice, though, as we get towards mid-February, we start seeing the contrasting sides, right? Warm air, that's some more spring-like warm air, and then we have that cold air. While this is a good sign that, spring it's coming, regardless of how cold the spring may be. It's bad news also because if we have a pattern like this, very cold air, very warm air, what comes to mind right off the bat is severe weather. It could be a pretty bad year for severe weather, and there have been already many advertisements for a pretty significant year. Again, nothing to get too concerned or worried about at this point. Just be prepared, as you should be, honestly, every year for severe weather. The potential very cold air right now not only is bad for just being cold air, but what it could lead to during the spring months. Pretty bad news. Really not something I would get excited about. I could get excited about a snowstorm, not really this extreme cold air mixing with the warm air, just in general. A lot of excitement in terms of snowstorms. You could see that there's plenty of potential for nor'easters, Midwest systems, and in terms of total snowfall, you can see that it's there, and it gets, in some models show it pretty far to the south across the United States. I do want to say that this is the GFS, right? Regarding that weekend system, that Thursday system. Let's take a look at the Canadian. This model keeps that weekend Thursday system further to the south than most, and then I'll show you what I mean in south. Still, you can see this system moving away, the nor'easter, right? Here we have our event that is moving into the northwest right now. Relatively weak, kind of disorganized, but as it moves into the plains, it quickly develops a very heavy snow band. I shouldn't say very heavy, I meant to say very large, widespread with moderate snow. Definitely towards Wisconsin, Minneapolis, the UP, potentially, up to half a foot, if not a foot of snow. You can see the Canadian keeps the rain snow line further to the south, right? Illinois, Chicago, Indiana. But definitely this is one of the more southern scenarios with this. Notice Michigan gets some snow, Detroit potentially. The Northeast, again, some rain, but it does not look to be a flooding rainfall. And you can see the Canadian does advertise some sort of a nor'easter before that very cold air. And look at this. Several models have been advertising something like this. Snow sometimes. Some models show even further to the south with another potential nor'easter. The Canadian 10-day snowfall forecast, or I think closer to 15-day. A bit 14-day. I mean, it's just pretty ridiculous. Look at the Northeast. That's including obviously today's snow, but still lots of snow potential. In today's video, I focused a bit on across the Northeast and the Midwest and kind of all over the place. For tomorrow's video, I will be going more in depth on that Midwest system that's moving across the Northwest right now. I will be focusing much less on the Northeast system. Probably just give you guys a rundown of the total snowfall amounts that fall. Just as like a little quick summary, here's the Canadian, right? The European also is advertising potential for that very cold air and that Thursday, Friday system across the upper Midwest. Comments and concerns that you guys have, please leave them down below. I will be answering them. Again, we have our nor'easter moving away, right? You can see we have our system. Moderate to heavy snow, though a lot of warm air, so that could lead to some locations that got a foot of snow across Chicago getting some rain. Again, models are still disagreeing quite a bit on that system in terms of the rain-snow situation, but the overall layout is pretty confident. Notice it does not really strengthen as it moves into the northeast. But the European, you can see it advertises a monster right around a week from now, again, across similar areas, so definitely not good news. And then obviously the very cold air, and look at that, another model that advertises snow very far to the south, more across the DC, mid-Atlantic, right, and very, very interesting event, and February looks to be an extreme. If you recall earlier on in the year, I always said that the La Niñas come with some sort of an extreme. Not always cold or snow, sometimes it was heat waves, sometimes it was extreme rain events. In this case, it looks as if it will be the extreme cold and snow into, or early late winter, which is right now kind of mid to late winter. So here's the European snowfall amounts, 6+, if not higher, with the Kuchera. Again, this is still not set in stone. Many models disagree on that. Notice as we push this forward, again, you can see the northeast potentially seeing more, even the southern states seeing a bit of snow. GFS parallel does show similar features, right? And I'll show you that weekend system total snowfall. Let's just go through our 162. You can see it shows a bit further to the south. Again, another potential nor'easter across the northeast, and of course, very cold air. If you were to take a look at the 2-meter temperature, or just even the height anomaly, you could see a very strong polar vortex. Alright, that is basically it for today's video, guys. Heavy snow and active pattern. Stay safe, stay tuned, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya. Bye.